welcome to today's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. Today we have convention promoter. You look like you have a comic book store that you work at or own. So
I do not have a comic
after
book
my own
store.
heart. Being a comic book store owner and a convention promoter myself, Richard Ewell. Tell us about yourself, sir.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Paul, for having me on. I do not own a comic book store, but my room outside of these doors it looks like a messy comic book store. Also, my movie collection has taken over. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. But I mean, the gist of me is I'm a podcaster by trade. I mean, I podcasted for over a decade and I've done numerous things. Right now we do Night of the Nerdy Laser, and it's a horror podcast. I go by the name Nerdy Laser online, and I used to have the Nerdy Laser podcast, but then when we changed it to horror, I just kept the Nerdy Laser and called it Night of the Nerdy Laser after one of the greatest horror movies ever. So that's kind of where I was. But then a couple of years ago, another podcasting friend of mine, Corey, and then Matt, who was my co-host at the time, we put together this Matt got a hold of Felissa Rose's agent and we worked out a deal. We're friends with a bar pub event place down the street, and so we put on this one night event with Felissa. We just called it an evening with Felissa Rose. We sold it out at like 85 tickets. It was a big success. Everybody loved it, and we wanted to do it again, but it's very hard to get people, to do like a one evening type thing. And so before I knew it, I was just planning a convention. So the other two guys just hung with me, and we put on FrankenCon last year, May 14th, and it was a big success for our small town. We're right outside of Knoxville, but it's at the Knoxville airport. But technically, we're in a kind of, well, it's not that small of a town, but And we put it on there, and I mean, it was a big success. Like, people loved it. We had like 40 vendors, I think. We had Joe Bob and Darcy from, of course, Shutter's Last Drive-In, and we had Mark Patton, Kim Myers. Man, I am failing all around. Mark Patton, Kim Myers, and Jack Shoulder from Nightmare 2. We also had Brian Bremer from Pumpkinhead, Mick Strawn from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and Nightmare, I always get this wrong, 3, I think, maybe 4. He worked on both, I think.
Yeah.
And then we had John Dugan too. We had a film fest and we did all sorts of stuff, and it was just a really cool thing. We had a lot of people that showed interest, had a lot of good feedback, and just decided to do it again this year. And for a sequel, we just called it Bride of FrankenCon.
Well, I gotta give you all kinds of props. I doing the convention stuff myself. I just do it one day, and just basically going from one thing to a 2-day and booking all those people is a huge jump. People don't realize how much, because you got to tie up a ton of money in just booking those people. And
yeah, it's a lot of money. I mean, the venue, between the venue and air flights, airplane tickets and just hotel rooms for that many people is for that many days. I mean, you got to get 3 days, and it's not just the celebrities; it's us, it's some volunteer stuff, people that helped us. It's I mean, so the hotel bill is probably actually one of the bigger bills that we have, which is crazy to think of. But yeah, going from one, I mean, part of me you kind of have to do what we do specifically with celebrities and stuff. You have to be at least 2 days
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it can be tough to talk celebrities into doing one day, especially if you're running the summer and there's a 3 day convention or a 2 day convention. Well, you're automatically going to lose out.
Mm-hmm.
So, which makes sense, you know. So we're doing the 2 days this year, and then more than likely a third year will probably happen, and we'll go to three. If that happens. So, we'll see. We went from about 11 guests to like 21, I think, this year.
Yeah, you got a bunch. I've seen the rundown.
Yeah, we have
It's pretty good.
we have a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had Joe Bob and Darcy, and unfortunately they had to back out a few months ago, and that's just one of the things you have to pivot when stuff like that happens, especially when you book guests and people are excited to meet them and see them and stuff. And unfortunately there's nothing really anybody can do, not even the celebrities sometimes. I mean, it is what it is. It's just kind of part of it.
Yeah, I know it's I went to Horror Hound a few weeks ago, and I know that they had issues because, like, of course, you got filming because people are going to take filming a movie over a different convention every time. And sometimes it just comes down to that something comes up, and it's just how things work. You just can't get away from it.
Yeah, last year we were fortunate where we lost some people, but it was like in October of the year before, so we were able to pivot kind of. And we didn't lose anybody last year on the day of, or even that spanning months of. So I considered that kind of lucky, and that probably wouldn't happen this year. But we'll see. You just never know. It's one of those things. I'm in doing a con or a show or anything. You meet all kinds of people, that do shows and stuff like that, and so we know this other con, and last year they had a horrible time with flights that got canceled the day before, and so they were canceled, and then they couldn't get them rebooked, and it just happens. You can't. I mean, most of them I think made it in, but if people only went on one day, then they get mad.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But there's really, I mean, in the end, there's nothing that we can do about it. I mean, stuff happens sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, my dogs are getting excited. Sorry, and my wife just walked in. No, it's. I have friends that are promoters and stuff like that, and it can be, my friend puts on one of the bigger conventions around my area for comic books, and literally he had Rob Liefeld drop out like 3 days before the convention. And he gave him his deposit money and the whole 9 yards. It took forever for him to recoup that money because it took forever for their people to refund him the money for that. And I couldn't. And then I've used to do Pittsburgh Comic-Con, and I remember going there. Of course, I was one of the comic book guys. I had to drag all my books to get signed and stuff like that. And you get all the way over there, and then they have a list. They didn't even post it on their website. You went up and they had a dry erase board, and it had all these names of couldn't make it.
Jeez.
You're just like, oh man. So I dragged all this shit.
Yeah, we try to be, at some point more than likely something could have happened where, but we kind of our way of looking at it is we try to be as upfront as possible with people. Yeah. I mean, if somebody was to cut out the day before the show, I mean, we've talked about it, and we would likely tell people before. But I know some shows that don't, and you won't even know until after you get in.
Yep.
And it seems shady, but I mean, it's just a business.
Yeah, because they figure that they're going to lose those people coming. And if they don't, people will be like, okay. Like I said, we did Horror Hound. Friends of ours prepaid for tickets for the Karate Kid, two of the Karate Kid people, and Ken Kurtzinger, the Jason from Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh yeah.
So they're like last minute. Well, the try to kid people. They just went and said, well, we can give you Bruce Campbell instead. You can get a photo op with Bruce Campbell. So they're like, oh, okay, we'll get a photo op with Bruce Campbell. Well, the Ken Kurtzinger stuff, they were like, okay, well, we have the stunt man from Freddy versus Jason. He'll wear the costume and be there. And I'm just like, well, I didn't pay for it, but I'd be kind of upset if I went from Ken Kurtzinger to random stunt man.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a showrunner, you try your best to figure it out and try to make. We didn't have a perfect show last year. We won't probably have a perfect show this year. I don't think the perfect show exists. You can't make everybody happy. We had a photography incident last year, and it was kind of bad, and we tried to fix it and actually ended up making it worse. And so sometimes that happens. Like, you try so hard to make people happy that you can actually do a detriment to it. And because that's what happened last year. Like, we just tried and tried to fix it and just made it worse and made people even more mad. So, it's just, I love going to conventions. So I want people to be happy at our convention. So we try really hard to do that. Yep. And we have a good success rate from last year, and we make people, I think, we give people opportunities, and we try that we would like to have, and that they possibly can't get somewhere else.
Yeah. And that's one of the nice ones, because you do have as I call them, professional con guests that are at every convention. And yep. You go and you're like, oh, he's here. Oh, he's there. He's at every one of them. And you're like, I'll get him eventually. And you don't want that. You don't want the guy that everybody just kind of writes off. You want the ones that, okay, hey, man, does he do conventions?
I think it's a balance, Yeah. I definitely think it's a balance. We have, this year we have, off the top of my head, Felissa Rose, and CJ Graham, Tom Matthews, and they do conventions. I know Felissa and CJ for sure, they do a lot of conventions, but it doesn't mean that they're any less, worthy of being there. It's just, you have to find this balance of having them there so that people that have never met them can meet them, and then having other people there too that haven't done conventions before or haven't done them in a long time, or
oh yeah, definitely,
or whatnot.
Oh yeah, and even if you get you're getting the guys from Basket Case, you're getting the guys from Frankenhooker and stuff like that. That's great. Ironically enough, my son has become a big fan of the Basket Case. Mind he's 23 now, but he's discovered those recently.
Oh, that's good.
And he's like going back and he's like studying all this stuff and whatnot. He's like, man, he goes, the dream sequence where he runs down the street, and I was like, yeah, it was all filmed guerrilla style. So he's literally running naked through the street. and my son is like, man, he goes, I was like, well, the plan is that we're hoping to get down there, but it's June, it's coming up soon for us. Sure. And literally our convention is the week before yours. So it's like, okay, so I'm like focused on, super hyper focused on mine right now.
Yeah.
And yours is like, I'm not gonna say a step down, but I'm like, mine's here, and I'm like, hopefully I'll make it to here.
yeah, hopefully you can. Frank, so we got Frank Henenlotter, who directed Basket Case. We got Kevin Van Hentenryck, who starred as Dwayne in Basket Case. And then we have Patty Mullen, who is Frankenhooker, which Frank also directed. So Frank's never done an event in Tennessee, and he hasn't done an event since before COVID. So he hasn't done an event in about 4 or 5 years, from what his agent told me.
Nice.
So, we're really proud of that addition. And that kind of sparked because of the Joe Bob thing. It freed up some space, and we already had Patty at that time. And I was like, me and the guys are all big Basket Case fans and Henenlotter fans and stuff. Yeah, if I could get, everybody from those movies, I would have this year. But that's the other thing is like sometimes you have people reach out to you and they want to be a part of it, and it's like you eventually have to tell people no, like, and that sucks. Like
Oh
you're
yeah.
telling these like celebrities no, and it's like
Well, I totally understand that. I mean, I'm a little 1 day show on a Sunday in a little. I mean, my town's 26,000 people, I think. And we're running it. We used to have an armory, which was nice, and then we had to move that because the armory said no more. And then we moved it to another place, and then we moved it to another place, and we kind of lost people. And then COVID hit, and then the local mall is a mall, so it's kind of mostly empty now. So we went
yeah,
there, and we were able to get a storefront. So we were using the old Elder Beerman's building, so we had this big, nice open space. Then they took that away from us, so then we were in the hallway, and
geez,
now we booked it, and then it sold. So
oh,
we are still guaranteed a spot, but have no clue where we're going to be.
um,
We have nowhere
they're gonna be like
idea.
tearing. They're gonna have like bulldozers
Well,
tearing stuff.
they're cutting them all in half now because they're going to
Um,
cut it in half and then redo one half of the mall that's
um,
not used. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys are killing me. And then I got people reaching out to me, and they're like, like you said, celebrities, and they're like, oh, we'd be interested in doing your show. We're going to be in that area. And I'm like, I got a couple that are local. They're within like 40 minutes living there. And I'm like, that I would work with, no problem.
yeah,
But I don't want to bring people in and and have it being all crappy like I'm doing now, because hopefully our next one will be 2 days at a new location, or if the mall has got their shit together.
yeah. Stay at the mall.
And because it's nice because it is legitimately right off the interstate, like you could see the mall from the interstate, so it works great.
That's nice.
Yeah, but the other location is clear across town. And so we're like,
Mm,
oh, and everybody's like, well, you can move it to Dayton or something, like, but I don't want it to move it to Dayton. It's in my
yeah.
town. I want to bring stuff like
No,
this to my hometown.
no, I'm right there with you, buddy. Trust me.
And the fact that you guys are doing that is awesome. The fact that you took something that you were able to do with Felissa Rose in your town and grow it in just a very short amount of time is amazing. And I got all the props in the world. You guys are killing it. And I seen footage from last year, and my buddy Tony was down there with you guys. Tony Covington, Hack.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Hack.
yeah.
Oh
He
yeah,
he's
Hack's a part of us, man. He's a great guy.
he's a super cool dude. He's coming up to us the week before yours, and then he's going
Oh,
to
nice,
yeah. So
nice,
he's gonna hang out with us and for a weekend.
awesome.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, he'll be at Bride. We have a horror host table, and we have a few local horror hosts that are going to be there. So that was really big. And we like to focus on the kind of the grittier, grimier side of horror.
yep.
Kind of like Basket Case. I mean, stuff that's just not talked about as much as the other stuff. Jason and Freddie and Michael get all the talk, but some of this other stuff is awesome too. So, and horror hosts are like that's a big part of horror culture. So,
Oh yeah.
having Hack there is important, and we have Eulogy Morton and just a few others that are going to be there.
Yeah.
Um,
I got
my
to hear.
goal is I would love to have Spengoli on there one day, but
That'd be nice.
he's tough. I think he's tough to get. He's
Oh,
busy. I mean, he's a busy guy.
he pounds out a show every week.
Yeah, and even longer now.
Mhm. Well, I I do my I kind of semi horror host. I host
Mhm.
cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons, and sci-fi shows on a Friday night.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
and it's slowly growing. And actually, my Saturday morning show is blew way up more than I ever imagined. But last year I got invited to the Horror Host Hall of Fame as just a guest, and I'm like, I'm not a horror host. And they're like, no, I'm on the Monster Channel. So I was like, oh, okay. They're like, you got to represent. I'm like, all right. So I go down there, I show up, and I'm like the only one. Everybody's in their gimmick and stuff like that. And there's this dude with a hat, and I'm like, my gimmick is legitimately hanging on the back of this chair, which is my bathrobe, and usually some sort of goofy T-shirt, random concert T-shirt or a cartoon or Star Wars T-shirt. And legitimately, this is bad. My podcast, I shoot this way. My other show, I shoot this way because this way is piled to the ceiling, floor to ceiling, with toys and comics.
Oh, really?
And at the end, I will turn the camera around and I'll let you see this big pile of.
Well, do you collect the Silverhawks Ultimate Sevens? Do I see
I
the
just
Super
got
7?
Wave 2, and I'm still waiting for Wave 1 because it hasn't shipped yet.
Well, I saw that on Big Bad. I really want the Bluegrass and some of the. I don't want all of them.
Well, I don't either.
Some of them.
This is the one. That's the one. Monstar. The really.
Yeah, Monstar is awesome, man.
I got them. I got the. I ended up with 2 steel wheels because one of them shipped, and I opened it, and one of the lasers, really dogs, was broken, and I'm like, dude, this toy's too expensive to have a broken piece. You're shipping me a piece.
Oh, you're good.
That's why I record these and then edit them just in case.
That's good.
But no, they got them. Like I said, the steel wheel showed up and the laser was broke. So I told them, I was like, nope, send me another one. So I still got 2 steel wheels. And then at my shop, I got the power. I got people who order the big Power Rangers, the big expensive ones.
Oh.
It had been opened, resealed, and then put in a box and shipped to me. And I called them up and I was like, yeah, this isn't going to fly. This is a $160 item.
Jeez.
No, you owe me a new one or I want credit.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I do have like the, I got the G.I. Joe Wave 1.
I really want the Duke and the Commander.
I got the 4. I got the Bat, the Commander, Duke, and Snake Eyes.
I don't like that Snake Eyes. Like, I know that's what it's like, but I just don't. I don't care for it. But I don't want to collect everything. Like, I have so many classifieds that I just,
I just got the barbecue, the Marauder.
Oh, Mad Marauders. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get that one. I have the other barbecue, but
yeah, I get them all. I get them for the shop.
I was getting them all, and then I just stopped.
Well, I order them for the shop, so I just take one and throw it in my own personal collection.
I mean, that's probably a good thing I don't have a shop. So
somebody asked me the other day, and they're like, "You got a lot of stuff because how do you get it?" I was like, "I own a store, and I get it wholesale. If I had to pay full price, I wouldn't own 2/3 of what I own."
That's fair.
Yeah, but it's now. I got to ask you, how did you get into horror? Were you one of the?
It's funny because for me, like I love movies, like from until I was like probably 30. And so it's just funny that I mean I didn't hate horror or anything, and I would go see them, but I didn't grow up with like I grew up with Full Moon.
Yeah.
So, Trancers and Demonic Toys and anything Full Moon put out, I watched. And I mean, I would watch, the B movies that went to the video store, like The Fear and other stuff that just that I love to this day. But for me, horror really kicked around 2000, I think 3 or 4. Really, Devil's Rejects. Like I liked House of a Thousand Corpses, but I wasn't a horror fan when I watched it. I was a Rob Zombie fan. But then when I watched Devil's Rejects, just something happened with me in that movie, and it clicked, and I went. I mean, even though I have a hard time saying it's a horror movie, you know, just because I don't feel like it's a horror movie. I mean, it's more of just a exploitation kind of movie, but I mean, it doesn't have like the jump scares or
No, it's
anything.
a grindhouse movie,
Um,
man.
but that movie, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so that movie sent me on this like just this kick of watching horror movies and foreign horror movies specifically. I don't know how the foreign got kicked in there, but I mean, I was watching like Old Boy and Cold Prey and Martyrs and Inside and Audition and all those fantastic movies if you haven't seen them.
Oh yeah.
And I just started just watching all horror I could, you know. I mean, but even at this point, there's a lot I have not seen, so it's hard to go back.
Right, man. It's bad. As I always worried about this because I've happened before, and then I'm like listening to one of the big radio shows I listen to in the morning. I will listen to Busted Open Radio, the wrestling one.
Oh yeah.
And they're losing people left and right. I'm like, I don't feel bad. This is a national TV show, and they're losing people. So
that happens to the best of us. I have a lot of problems sometimes, but I started using an iPad, and it's actually a lot better.
Oh, I didn't even think about using the iPad.
I got one for my birthday for my wife, and it's been great. I mean, that's what I'm using right now.
Damn.
And I use StreamYard, and I can do everything from StreamYard.
Damn. I'm gonna have to check that out. My wife
kind of nice
is around here somewhere that my kid steals all the time, but but you know, we were talking before everything about when you got into horror. You said you got into horror during the Devil's Rejects era, and then you hadn't even watched all the Halloween movies, and that's
I just did that last year.
Wow. See,
yeah, I mean, and I hadn't seen, like, I think I saw Rob Zombie's Halloween before I actually saw the first Halloween.
Dang. Okay. Well, so how did that go? I have to ask.
I hate the original Halloween. I mean, people are, oh, but I do. I don't like it. I don't really like the Halloween franchise. I mean, I like Rob Zombie's first one. I mean, I saw the second one, and I know people say it's terrible. I don't remember hating it, but I've only watched it one time, so I'm obviously not that big of a fan of it because I've seen the first one a few times. I actually really like it. And I mean, I think, right, a lot of times movies specifically are when you watch them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
definitely, yeah.
I saw, you know, I'm watching movies that I've seen memes of, that I've heard people make fun of, that I've known the end. You know, I mean, so sometimes that it's not fair to the project that I don't like it, because it's probably fine and I know it's groundbreaking and I understand all that, but I just don't like them. I mean, you know, it's just one of those things. I actually I've always liked Halloween 3 the most.
Me too.
Because Michael Myers is in it, and now it's the cool thing to do.
Yeah, me and my son, we joke around like, which is the best Halloween movie? And they're like, 3. 3 is the best Halloween movie. People are like, yeah, that's sacrilege. I'm like, it's a good movie.
Yeah,
it's really good. It's just unfairly lumped into Halloween. If it would have just been Season of the Witch or something like that, everybody would love it to this day. But it's not.
It would. Yeah. I mean, Halloween 1 and 2, I mean, I don't mind. I don't think they're terrible movies or anything. But man, I mean, you get into those later on, like 4, 5, 6 and stuff. Woo! Those are some bad movies. I mean, I like them. I do like some of them. But, you know, I don't know. I really like Danielle Harris. I'm a big fan of hers. So I like her trilogy, but it makes really no sense.
No, and the fact is that she's only in 4 or 5, and in 6 they bring in a whole new Jamie Lloyd, so she's not even Jamie Lloyd in that movie, and it sucks.
No, H2O is actually really solid. Like, I think H2O is a really solid movie. Like, it feels like a really big budget horror movie that they did a pretty good job with. So, but I mean, Evil Dead's the same way. I'm not a real big fan of the Evil Dead franchise, and I know that's like sacrilege to people, but and I get it. It's not like I hate them, but it really is all when you watch these things. I do believe that. I mean, um, you know, I mean, I have a Jurassic Park tattoo on me. I mean, it's my favorite movie of all time. I saw it when I mean, I must have been about 14, and it was just it and Terminator 2 are like that's what I held my standards to, and those are like two perfect movies.
Yeah.
But you know, as far as horror goes, like now I'm just having fun getting we watch really everything. I mean, anything from street. We've been some recent movies we've watched is Street Trash. Obviously, I've seen Toxic Avenger. I saw Toxic Avenger when I was a kid on USA. But I never really looked at that as a horror movie either. It's just kind of this grindhouse.
This is a grindhouse comedy, you know.
Yeah, and it's really weird. I mean, I can't imagine that most of those jokes were in the TV cut of that movie, like him trying to hit the kid and stuff.
Depends on what time of day you watched it. If you watched it on Commanders USA's Groovy Movies, which was mid-afternoon, no.
Yeah.
If you watched it on USA Up All Night, you probably got all the jokes back in it. Yeah.
But I'm sort of into the like body horror stuff. I really like it. Like the Basket Case. I'm a big fan of Tetsu Iron Man, and I know a lot of people aren't. Like I said, Street Trash, and just trying to think. We do a show called Trash Talk on YouTube and a horror channel on Roku called Tingler Television.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do Trash Talk where we show like clips from the movies, and we just kind of have more fun with it. And we've done some fun ones like Chud and Velocipaster, and which Velocipaster is just insane if you've never seen it. It's dumb, but it's great. Tammy and the T-Rex, you know. And then what happened a few years ago when I met like Matt and Corey. So then this whole other thing happened that my wife probably wishes didn't, where I started to collect physical media more than ever. And I got into the Vinegar Syndromes and the Severins, and all that stuff. And it's just, it's brutal. It's very expensive. It takes up a lot of room. Yeah, but I love it. And so Vinegar Syndrome and all those labels kind of taught me a whole other side of things, you know. It brought me movies that I've never seen before, and brought movies back that I'd forgotten about.
Yeah,
it's what I like about horror is just you know, I try not to take it too serious and just have fun with it. And I feel like when I do that, it's I like the weird stuff, man. I watched The Baby not too long ago, and that's just a weird movie, man.
The Baby kind of reminded me of the Unseen. Did you ever see the Unseen?
Oh,
it's got the guy that played Flounder in Animal House.
Okay.
He is essentially the baby. He's this giant man baby who's a killer, and it's crazy. I picked that up on I think I remember watching it as a kid, and then I think I picked it up on one of the sales. I think through Vinegar Syndrome or something, when they had like their halfway to Black Friday sale or something like that. I jumped on it. I was like, shit. I think it's like $8 on Blu-ray during the sale. I was like, hell yeah, I'll get that.
I just bought some Kino stuff myself today because their sale's ending at some point. But I love physical media, man, and that's you know, we try to have that in at FrankenCon. We have Orbit DVD and Grindhouse, which those are two big physical media stores. Orbit DVD is in Asheville, and they're a sponsor of ours. They're the main. They're like, so it's Orbit DVD presents. Brad at FrankenCon because they, their Mark is really cool over there, and we talked with him. He did the first one and he loved it, and we talked, and so he wanted to help with the second one. Grindhouse is also a sponsor, and Grindhouse Video, and they're in Knoxville, Tennessee. They used to be in Tampa, but then they moved to Knoxville. So it's a big just physical media store. And then we have here in town the Dungeon at Southland, and he has an Instagram presence, but he doesn't sell stuff online. But so Jason down at the Dungeon, he's a good friend of mine, and we're just lucky to have these like massive places really, really close by.
Yeah, that's true because I'm a big collector of that stuff, but I have to order everything.
Oh
There's
yeah,
nobody local that carries any of that, and I mean, I hate to say this, we had an FYE that's gone now.
oh yeah.
We would order it, and they would they'd knock 25% on for you to order it, special order, and then I'm like, oh, screw it. Now it's on Amazon. They can order it from there, and sometimes if you know their website, or if they have like when Vinegar Syndrome has their sales, whatever, I jump on those, and that's great when you find those movies. Like, man, I remember loving that movie as a kid. The one I found recently was Demonoid. You ever see Demonoid?
No.
The severed hand that goes around and keeps having flashes of this. Look it up. I think I know it's bad. It's probably on Tubi or something like that.
Yeah.
But Tubi's become my go-to place, so I don't have to.
I love Tubi. I'm a big fan of Tubi. We actually try to pick movies that are on Tubi just so it's kind of easy for everybody.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that I can tell people, I'm like, man, have you ever seen this movie? And they're like, no. I'm like, you can buy it, which is going to cost you $60 for a Blu-ray, or just go on Tubi and watch it because you're not going to want to own it.
I know, right?
You're not.
It is so weird that like movies are so expensive now. Just a Blu-ray, a new Blu-ray at Walmart's $30 when the week it comes out. $25, and I remember you could get them for like $12, $13 on the Tuesday they came out.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's so expensive now. Well,
it's also the fact is that so many people are now digital that to get the physical media copy, they just don't make so many of them. There was a movie I looked for, about 6 months ago. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I went to Walmart. All they had was DVD copy of it. I was like, okay, well, why don't you have a Blu-ray? And the girl behind her, she goes, we're not scheduled to get any Blu-rays. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go home and get it. I'll just order it. I go on, look up. They never made a Blu-ray version of it. It was DVD and streaming. That was it.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, and like Barbarian never even got a release.
Yeah,
still doesn't have a release.
Yeah,
but it just doesn't have a physical media release, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, somebody pointed out to me a while back. They're like, at some point, a lot of these places are just going to go streaming. He goes, you're going to get physical media is going to get harder and harder and harder to come by. And I was like, that's going to ruin it because then you can just go, oh, you can't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Then what do you do? And then you just get the guys that bootleg it because they can just go bring it up on their screen, hit screen record the entire movie, and take it, put it on their computer, and burn a Blu-ray of it. And I'm like, I would much rather get an actual commercial copy, good, than get some Joe Schmo copy that he burned off his computer.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, some of those copies are good. Some of those bootlegs are good. I have a few connections where if I need something, I can get a really good copy. But yeah, it is sad. I wake up in a cold sweat sometimes when I think about my like my Voodoo account just disappearing one day because I have like over 100 movies on there. Mm-hmm. Some came with movies, but some I bought on there, some I've rented. And I don't mind to have that digital stuff, but what happens when that site's not around?
Exactly. My wife hates it. I am I'm a physical media guy. I have 8mm film. VHS, Laserdisc. I got CEDs, DVDs, Blu-rays. Because some of the movies, one of my favorite movies of all time is The Keep.
Oh
And
yeah, the key.
I have two VHS copies, and then a couple years ago for Christmas, one of my buddies bought me the Laserdisc copy.
Oh.
And everybody's like, "Well, I can get that on Blu-ray." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not an actual copy. That's one somebody pulled off or burned."
Yeah. I mean, it's never been released.
Nope, it's never been on DVD. It's never been on disc. Up until relatively recently, another one of my favorite movies, Eyes of Fire. You ever heard of that one?
Mm-mm.
Eyes of Fire is I claim it is the prequel to the Blair Witch Project.
Mm.
It's these people go into the woods. It's a disgraced preacher and his the lover he took and stuff. They go into the is in like 1700s. They go to find a new place. Well, they find this encampment that is already partially built and abandoned. So he's lazy and he takes it over. And then you find out there's this evil in this area and a witch. And then craziness ensues and stuff like that. Well, for the longest time, it was only available on VHS and I think German Laserdisc. And up until I want to say a year ago, then finally, I think Vinegar Syndrome finally released a Blu-ray that's great. It has the other cut of the movie on there
Oh,
and stuff
nice.
like that. Yeah, but it's now it's on Shudder and stuff like that too. But I've loved that movie since I was a kid. Had two VHS copies, burn up one of them. I still got one of them. And up until recently, I was looking for the Laserdisc, and then they were like, somebody goes, "Oh, I found a copy for you," and I'm like, "It's just a burnt copy of what I already have. I don't want a
Yeah.
DVD copy of the VHS rip." So now I finally got it. It's a beautiful cut, but yeah, I love that movie, and I have I have three copies of it. My friends made fun of me the other day because I'm a Transformer guy, and I pulled up something. I was like, "You want to see something stupid?" And they go, "What?" And I went, "The original VHS copy, the re-release VHS copy, the DVD copy, the re-release DVD copy, and the Blu-ray copy, and then the release." And they're like, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just
That's
do."
funny. I try to, if I have a copy, like if I get a Blu-ray to, and I already have the DVD, I try to get rid of the DVD. But I still haven't entered the 4K phase.
I've got like three.
Yeah, I don't even have a 4K television yet. My projector is not 4K, so I mean I have some 4K movies, but it's only because they came with a Blu-ray.
Yep, that's me too.
Uh, yeah, I'm still waiting for them to put out Prayer of the Roller Boys on Blu-ray. I need that movie. I mean, I have versions of it, but I need that on Blu-ray. I got Rad a few years ago, which that's one of my all-time favorite movies as a kid. So that was pretty awesome when Vinegar Syndrome released that, and then everybody released that. Which actually, with that one, I have the VHS, I have a bootleg, I have the Vinegar Syndrome copy, and I have the Steelbook. So
I have Rad. I have the VHS copy and the import DVD copy.
oh.
Right now. Along with BMX Bandits, which is the first appearance of one Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman. I have BMX Bandits on a two movie disc from like the dollar store or something, and it's just the crappiest copy you could ever imagine of BMX Bandits. And yeah, it's Evil Knievel's the other one. I don't know why. I even have the cassette soundtrack to Rad, which is pretty rare.
Yeah, the one movie that I always try to get copies of is Trick or Treat, the one with Gene Simmons and Skippy from Family Ties.
I've never seen it. I've heard of it. I need to watch it. I know.
I ran in it. I went to a comedy show with Mark the Skippy, the guy who plays in it, and I got him to sign my DVD, and I got him to sign my cassette soundtrack to it.
That's awesome.
And he's like, "You got it on cassette?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then the guy behind me had it on vinyl, and I'm like, So he beat me.
Yeah, I'm like, so I live in Tennessee, and the chance, I never thought I'd get to meet Bill Allen, who was crew and rad, and because he's in California, he doesn't really do the con circuit much. I don't really see him around. It just so happens in May he's coming to Knoxville, um, which, I mean, it'll take me like 20 minutes to get there, and I mean, I'm like giddy as a schoolgirl. Like, I've actually interviewed him for a podcast before, and he's very nice. But yeah, I haven't. I've debated on. I mean, I'll probably get like 6 things signed, so it won't matter. But I'll probably get that cassette signed.
Nice. So I have to ask you, because you're talking about bringing people in, and I asked this about with the with the directors and stuff like that I talk to. So I got to ask you as the convention promoter. Money is no object. Who are you bringing in?
But it'd have to be horror because that's kind of our niche. So that's where we're at. Gosh, I don't. It's sprung that on me. I think we answered that, and I can't remember who I said. I might have said Robert England, but our buddies at Scarefest, they had Robert there last year, and it was amazing. Money's no object. I mean, well, I was gonna say if I knew that they were, I mean, I would love Wes Craven, but obviously he's passed away. So, alive or dead, it would probably be Wes Craven because I think he's, just a genius and he changed the horror game a few times.
Yes, he did.
With, you could say Nightmare, you could say Scream, you could say Red Eye, I believe.
Hills Have
People
Eyes.
People Under the Stairs was just like, I think People Under the Stairs is one of the wackiest, craziest movies.
I got to see People Under the Stairs at an advanced screening. I got like tickets to see it like 2 weeks in advance back in the day, and I loved it. And then I got people who are like, "That's a weird," but I'm like, "It's so fun." It's just the
but
family.
I'll give you an answer though. I'll say Brad Dourif because I'm a Chucky guy. I have like 6 Funkos sitting here staring at me. I've just always loved Chucky. I love Chucky Part 2 specifically. But that would be very cool. To bring him in.
I'm weird. My favorite Brad Dourif acting role is I love him in Graveyard Shift.
No.
As the crazy exterminator guy, when he does his whole speech about Vietnam, I love that to this day.
That's funny.
Okay, so that's Money's no object. Okay.
Now, and I will say this. Actually, I kind of want to change it, but okay. Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Because I just love, I love Dead Alive. Like, we watched it recently. I mean, I had watched it back in 2005 or so, and I had heard about it in the 90s. But that movie's so good. And like Meet the Feebles, I don't think it's very good, but it is amazing.
I was lucky enough, 20 years ago or so, maybe. We had a theater and they did a double feature of Meet the Feebles and
oh,
Dead
man.
Alive. And I was like, I'm like, I told my wife, I'm like, we're going. And she's like, I was like, you don't understand. You're going. I don't care. You're gonna watch Meet the Feebles and you're gonna watch Dead Alive. And she'd never seen either one of them before then. And she's like, those might be the most batshit crazy movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I feel like if I showed my wife Meet the Feebles, she'd probably divorce me.
Well, I love telling people, I'm like, go watch those and then go watch Lord of the Rings. And that's made by the same man. Now, there you go.
But, Frighteners is a great movie, too. I love the Frighteners. It doesn't get talked about.
See, that's why I got her to go see the other two, because she likes Frighteners.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, Dead Alive is a good movie, but it is, it's gross. Oh. But that's the best part.
Oh, man. We just had the discussion about that about a week ago at the shop about when they're eating the soup and they eat the ear, and you're just,
Oh,
I know people that like they almost throw up every time that.
oh, the blood. So when the pus squirts, it's the custard. The
Yep.
so I don't have one up here, but I just had a design made that has like our trash talk, and then but it's damn fine custard, and it's a can of custard, but it has the. I'll send you a picture. But yeah, it's amazing. I love it. I love the gross out stuff. I don't know why.
It's I'm one of the people that I went through that whole thing where you had like quote unquote torture porn, your hostels and stuff like that.
I I should mention that that's probably where I really started. And that was like 2003, 2004, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I love those movies, man. Hostel. I love Hostel 1 and 2.
What was bad was Hostel 2. The one girl that's in that movie, I just don't like her. And I don't know why.
The
Phillips.
one that gets Elizabeth Bathory.
No, not that one. That one I don't mind. But the one, the blonde girl, and she'd been in movies I just didn't care for her. And I was like, oh, she's in this movie, she dies? Okay, cool. And then she dies off screen. I'm like, you're in a Hostel movie. You can't kill her on screen.
We need to see it.
At least when Paris Hilton dies with the spirit through the head, you see all of that.
True. Yeah, that was the best part of Wax music.
Yeah, definitely.
Wax.
So I got to ask you, personally, you can invite one guest to your con just for you. You only. Who are you bringing in?
Well, I would have said Bill Allen, even though he's not horror at all. Me personally, I'm trying to think. Let's see. I mean, so Prayer of the Roller Boys does mean a lot to me, and Chris Collette's in that movie, and he's in Sleepaway Camp. He's actually going to be at Scarefest in Kentucky that we were friends with, and he's one that for me, like I would love him to be at a con I ran, like just because I love Prayer of the Roller Boys so much, and I would ask him to do a Gary Lee like photo op with like the flat, like the very end. Like as a kid, I'm like, "Where's part two? Where's part two? Dad, take me down to the video store. I need part two." And like, because that movie ends on a cliffhanger, and like, and so that's probably the quickest answer I could give. There's probably a different answer if I thought about it, but off the top of my head, he would be really cool. And now I'm gonna meet him at Scarefest, so in the end, I'm gonna meet him as long as he's there, which is weird because like two people from my childhood that really mean a lot, like I'm gonna meet this year, and it's kind of crazy. It just makes me feel good to have the opportunities, to live where I live and be able to meet people and see people. But my wife thinks I'm an idiot. Like she would never pay. I don't care who's standing in front of her. She just doesn't. Her whole family's like this though. Like they don't really collect anything. They don't really. They can't imagine paying for somebody's autograph. Whereas I'm like $60 here. Where are we going?
See, I'm lucky. My wife, she likes horror. Don't get me wrong. She grew up. She's like me. I was one of them kids that I was a latchkey kid, home by myself, with a card to the video store back when you had to have a card, and HBO and Cinemax, and not a whole lot of parental watching. So I watched whatever I wanted to watch. And the women at the video store knew me on a first name basis, so I watched whatever I want. The only thing they wouldn't that's almost porn. You can't watch that, and that was the extent of it. And I just watched every horror movie. I tell everybody, it's like, you guys don't understand. I went to the video store back in the day, and you had alphabetical order, and you just started in A's, and you just went through and you rented whatever. And my wife was the same way. And so I'm lucky on that. aspect. My wife gets the horror stuff, and she still watches horror movies with me. And then my children came along, and my first two, my oldest, he's adopted, so he didn't come in until late. He's not into horror. My older son is not into horror. My middle son Joe, he wasn't into it, and then all of a sudden, man, one day it hit him, and he became a horror. Yeah, and now he loves it. My youngest son has autism, so he doesn't give two shits about it anyway. So, but my wife never collected much of anything. She doesn't get the collecting aspect of it. And I was like, you don't understand. It's not, I was like, I wish I didn't collect as much as I did, but
Yeah.
it's the OCD that is in my brain that makes me collect as much as I do.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
And
Kind of the same way.
I tell her, I was like, you know how you are with music? That's how I am with movies. So she would pay if she could meet Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. She would be you $300. Okay, no problem. And I'm like, I'm one of them guys like, ooh, that's expensive. I gotta justify it.
Yeah, I mean, my wife's watching a Hallmark movie downstairs, I'm sure. She does not watch horror, so it sort of limits me sometimes. But I mean, I work around it. I mean, I watch a lot on my phone, breaks and stuff. So, I mean, and she lets me watch stuff if I want to watch
it. That's why I have the layer down here. This is all goes back there. I have my big TV. I got all my stuff set up. I got my movies. And she goes upstairs because we have a 3-floor house. This is my basement. She goes upstairs and watches TV on her TV, on whatever she wants to watch up here. And when I want to watch, she's like, I don't want to watch that. I'm like, I do. She's like, okay, I'm going upstairs. So I just watch what I want to watch when I want to watch. And I'm a night owl, so I just literally 2:00 in the morning, or like midnight. I'm like, I got time for one more movie.
I have to get up to her. I have to get up too early for that. I'm in bed by 10:30.
At 10:30, I'm just getting really starting to get started. But it's also being in the comic book business. I don't open my store till mid-afternoon.
Oh yeah.
I'm my own boss. I don't have to worry about that. So.
Yeah, that is a bonus.
Yeah. Although when I do my conventions and stuff like that, I gotta get up and like miserable early, which is I'm like, I don't want to go to bed till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then suddenly you got to get up at 6. You're like, I'm down in energy drinks trying to keep my day going.
When we did the con last year, we had a very short window to I mean, it's not so much short. It's just, I mean, we didn't have a lot of people to help us and stuff. And so we were just doing it. There's a lot to do. There's tape on the floor. There's banners to put up. There's everything. So I think I was up till like 1:30 putting stuff together in the lobby and stuff. And then I had to get up at like 5:30 or 6 the next morning because everybody, we started at 9, I think, and we were going to let people in at 7. And so this year we planned it more smart to where we don't have to get up super early.
Now, I got to ask, are you taking volunteers, like bringing in volunteers to help you now?
Oh yeah. I mean, we had volunteers last year, like the day of, for sure. But what we didn't plan on is really setup help and close down help. And those are those about killed me. So this year we're a little bit more prepared for everything.
Yeah. I get to put up 70 tables by myself.
So we're really lucky that I don't envy you at all. I mean, it's bad enough we have like 30 banners to put together, like stands and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But but the table. So we're really lucky. The Hilton here at McGee Tyson Airport is just a wonderful, wonderful place. Like I love them so much. It's a beautiful hotel. They have a ton of space for us, like the grand ballroom. We last year we had the grand ballroom, and then they had another ballroom on the other side. So we have both sides this year. Whereas last year we only had one side, but they set up the tables, they set up the chairs, they set up the stage. We have access to audio video stuff, so they have screens all through the place, so we can play like sponsor videos and other things throughout the day. We have a panel room that has a big screen, and so that's where we do our like our VIP events this year. Our Frankenhooker with a live commentary done by Patty Mullen.
Ooh, nice.
And that's hosted by the Rants from the Black Lodge podcast. And then on Saturday, we have Felissa Rose doing a live sleepaway camp commentary hosted by the YouTube channel. We watched a movie. And so we're just very lucky that we have those. And we have a short film festival that was very successful last year. We're going to have it again this year. And, it just allows us to do a lot. We're doing a costume contest this year, which I'm a little nervous about because I've never done a costume contest. But I have a lot of help. So that's the thing is, especially the second year, people have seen, you kind of have to prove yourself the first year. You have to prove yourself every year, but that first year, you have to really show people that you want to do it, and so, that's why me, putting tape on the floor and doing all that stuff is important, just always, because, I believe in hard work and just, this is what we're here for.
Definitely.
So we have a lot of help. I have a lot of people that I have somebody that she's ran costume contests. She put everything together, put all the rules that I wouldn't have thought about. She's going to help the day of. And I have another guy hosting and, just people that have done this before. Sometimes you have to lean on those people and just kind of make them your family. And you want to help, they want to help you as much as you want to help them, give them a venue and give them an outlet, because there's one thing about people that love cons. Like, I've been going, I think my first con was 99, maybe 2000. And back when autographs were included, or a photo was included with autographs for $10, kids.
I'm older than that. I remember when the autographs where you stood in line. That's when you got your free autograph, but you had to stand I stood in line for, 4 hours one time to get a free autograph because that was just part of the convention. It was free. And we can blame Dave Prowse for that. Supposedly Dave Prowse, Darth Vader, was the first person to charge for an autograph.
All downhill from there.
And that seems about right, because he was not a pleasant man.
I did stand in line for 4 hours to meet Todd McFarlane and get his autograph for free. So I did that outside.
Todd McFarlane's bad taste in my mouth, man.
I understand. I'm one of those where it was just Swan was very influential on me as a kid and Image in general.
Oh yeah, it was. I want to say 93, so this is right at the heyday.
Oh yeah.
I stood in line for hours upon hours. They cut the line off. It's literally like, I want to say like 10 people behind me was the cutoff. And this was cut off hours before. So we're just standing there. Slow. Yeah. It's 2 autographs per person for free. So we're sitting there. We're going through the autographs. All of a sudden, this guy comes up and he goes, he's ending it now. These people, and like, what? There's only like maybe 15 more people. I was like, let us get a quick one autograph, just one autograph. He's like, no, he's leaving at 3:00 or whatever it was. And I'm like, we've been standing in line the entire convention and you're cutting it off. And literally it was like 3 people in front of me. So there's and I'm like, are you shitting me? I was pissed. And
yeah, I can understand that.
And I have never, ever, and everybody's like, oh, he was doing an autograph signing, and I think it was 1 free. at a convention I was at, and I'm like, nope, nope, I'm good. I was like, I'm not going to stand in line for 5 hours to get a free autograph that I won't get.
Well, I do think he's a little different now too.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, a lot of these people, I think, are more willing to, they understand the fans too, you know, and like how important they are. I mean, I've heard stories about Neve Campbell and Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich where they'll shut the convention down, and like Skeet and Matthew Lillard were just, they were signing hours after the convention was over.
Yep.
To get everybody, you know, and I mean, of course, there's money involved too, but I mean, still, you know, I mean, that's, I don't know. I mean, I do think times have changed a little bit, but yeah, I get your point.
But I was 19.
I mean, I'm bitter as hell, so there's some wrestlers that I can't stand.
Which ones?
Because of that. Mick Foley left a really bad taste in my mouth, and everybody's shocked to hear that. Yeah.
Mick was cool with me.
See, so it's one of those things where I was at Chiller in New Jersey, and this was like 2004 or 5. And we stood in line forever. We were there for like 2 or 3 hours while the convention was going on, and he wasn't there. But, you know, a line was formed, and I mean, he was one of the main ones I wanted to see. And he was stuck in traffic and things were late, whatever. And then he gets there, and like I'm like the second or third person. And as soon as he gets there, Vince Russo came over and just started talking to him. And he started talking to him, and he just started signing autographs while he was talking to Vince Russo, and never talked to us. And I'm sure he was just caught up, and he was excited to see him, I guess. I don't know why. It's Vince Russo, who ironically enough was like all in on, like, I met Vince Russo then, and he was just all in on this Christian wrestling, which I don't care one way or the other, but he refused to talk about anything except for Mick. I'm sure he talked all about how he, you know, but anyway, yeah. So Mick, everybody's always shocked that Mick left a bad taste in my mouth, but yeah, I just, ever since, I mean, I'm still a big fan, but yeah, it's
mine is Sabu.
Oh, I'd love to meet Sabu, but I could see now. At that same convention, right after Mick Foley, I was so damn mad, and I'm just walking around the convention. The tent. This was when they had the tents outside, and so I'm walking around, and Rob Van Dam was there, and I had no intentions of meeting him. And I was like, screw it, I'll just meet him. Best experience I ever had. He was so awesome.
A friend of mine used to run wrestling, so I got to meet like a lot of these guys, and then he would just go, I have a chair signed by like a ton of wrestlers, because he'd just go, I'll just take it to the back and hand it off, and I'll just sign it and bring it back to you. Nice. But I met Sabu, no problem whatsoever. But I posted a picture, I think, on Twitter, and it was my wall that I had at my shop at one point, and it had all these autographed wrestler pictures. And I get a message from him, and he's like, hey, I'm going to be coming through, which, you know, he lives in Detroit. So he's like, I'm coming up 75. He goes, would you like me to do an in-store? Like, yeah, that'd be cool. You know, what are we talking about? And he goes, well, usually I do $1,200 with a match. I'm like, well, you're not going to have a match because literally I have a comic book store. You can't wrestle here. And he's like, well, we'll work something out. I'm like, okay. And this went back and forth. He said, well, I got my manager, and that's back when Super Genie was his manager before she passed away. And we started going back and forth, and I'm like, well, what days can you do it? Well, it would be a Tuesday. I'm like, I'm never going to get enough people on a Tuesday to pay this off.
Yeah.
That's super random. Okay, well, why don't you talk to your local wrestling organization, promotion, and try to get me hooked up with them. I'll do a show. I'll come to your shop, and then I'll go wrestle for them. I'm like, well, okay. I was like, but there was a wrestling federal promotion that wrestled locally. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, we wrestle in your town once a month. Well, that didn't coincide. So he goes, we'll try the other one, which is the one he wrestled for down in Dayton. So I contacted them. They're like, well, we don't have nothing coming up that we can have him at. And if we do, it's going to be a weekend and it doesn't coincide. So I'm like, all right, well, we went back and forth and I was like, man, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna have to just say no. It doesn't coincide with anything that I can do. There's no way
Yeah.
I'm gonna make my money back on a Tuesday having you at my shop. And he's like, well, we're already doing this. What? I didn't sign no paperwork. I didn't say we were. And this went back and forth. He is the only person, him and Super Genie were the only two people I've ever had to block on Facebook. Or not Facebook, on Twitter. And I was like,
That's
I
crazy.
hated to because I loved Sabu back in the day.
Yeah.
And I'm
It is
like,
unfortunate when you have those meetings like that and it goes south. Fortunately for me, like actually, doing the one show we had last year didn't have that effect, and doesn't seem like that'll have that effect this year. Um, so everybody's mostly cool. I mean, some have different expectations than others, and you just have to try to appease that. But there's people that people are like, oh, why don't you get this person? And we don't air dirty laundry or anything. It's like, yeah, well, we tried, but we couldn't. And just sometimes, you can't. We're not a big show. Like, that's
no,
what people don't understand. I mean, we are a big show because it's not like, I mean, last year we had about 600 attendees, and we're looking at about 1,200 this year, hopefully, if all goes right. We have a radio ad this year going out. Like, so, I mean, we are a bigger show than some, but I mean, there's other shows locally that are 4,000 or 5,000 attendees,
mm-hmm.
So, but they also hit a broader audience. Our audience is a little more narrow, but we have like Susan Backlini coming in. She's the first shark kill from Jaws, and we have Banjo Boy from Deliverance. Like, so I mean, you say those two things, and people instantly get excited.
Yeah, it it's crazy because you're talking 650, and I'm like, man, I was like, I had at a mall show. Ironically enough, I was able because I counted people through one door. I couldn't count people coming through the other way. I'm free at the mall show. We're free. It's
No.
I don't make any money at the door because it would be impossible because people
Yeah.
can come in from different angles. So it's like one of the ones where I gotta kind of take it. And I think I got 550 through my door, and that's not including the other way. And this is just a little small town, and I'm like, I was happy with last year, so hopefully this year does well too.
Yeah.
And then hopefully with the next one I can grow bigger, and then planning the next show, the November show, is planned for 2 days so far. We'll see how that goes. Uh, and then we had, and I understand you talking about the guests and stuff like that, and the riders and what they want and what they can get.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the early stages of a convention years ago. We had a big building, 2 days, whole 9 yards. It was, and we were just in the early stages. So we're reaching out, we're getting the contracts, and we're seeing what they have, what they want. We can judge it from there, decide if we want to bring these people in. And, some of these people, they want just like huge bank. And you're just like, you're never going to bring that money in. I was like, I don't want to be a dick, but you're never going to bring that account of money in. I'm not going to throw nobody under the bus or nothing like that, but there's one who was a big name and wanted, next to nothing. With their contract was you pay for the first autograph, they'll sign whatever else they put in front of them. And I'm like, sweet. We were tentative with him. We're like, yeah, okay, cool. And then we get these other guys, and they're like, Oh yeah, we will be on the floor for 4 hours each day. Um, one Q&A per day. We have to have, and they had special dietary that they
Mm.
want, and I'm like, oh, okay. Only 3-star or higher hotel, and I'm like, dude, you don't know. I mean, you would have to be an hour away from our convention to get a 4-star hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, then they quote me the price. I'm like, you're never going to pay for you to be able to come here. That's insane. And I've talked to other people and they're like, oh yeah, we got them. And I'm like, how much? I was like, how much did you get paid? And they're like, oh, we told them what we're paying. And I'm like, that must be nice because they wouldn't even listen to me. And I'm like, all right, I mean, I get you're established, but
Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, I have found that out. Like it all depends and depends on the show, and I mean it makes sense. Um, you know, but yeah, there's not a lot of wiggle room, and sometimes we just have to tell people we can't do it. And I mean, we've done it before, and we'll do it again. Some people we work very hard to get. Other people are pretty easy to get just because we agree with everything and stuff. So, but yeah, it can be. There's a lot behind the scenes that people don't see and what they don't understand.
yeah, it's like I said, I like being able to talk to you because as I'm a small convention promoter and you're promoting this massive thing, and this is only your second year. That just I'm not gonna lie, it blows my mind. I have all the respect in the world for you to be able to put that much in. And it's not just you, it's what, two other guys?
Yeah. I mean, it's for sure not just me. Yeah, my friend. We were all friends, and Corey, Corey Keelan from Spooky Dudes podcast. He's one of them, and Matt Henry is the other one. And I mean, Matt's really good at the video stuff, banner stuff, making the schedules, doing the entertainment part of the aspect of our stuff. Um, he's kind of the brainchild behind the short film festival that we had last year. That was a big success. Corey's really good at keeping us realistic. He tries to, not let us get too crazy. And then, I kind of do the vendors and stuff. So dividing the work out helps, but I mean, it's really, I mean, it's on my brain 24 hours a day, and it's usually a year. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I just, we started planning as soon as May ended, May 14th ended. I mean, May 15th, we were at lunch discussing this year, and it never really stopped. So, and things are different this year. We're all a little bit more busier, and you just got to try to fit it in. I do 1,000 things because I'm OCD, and I do podcasts. I try to help the Tingler Television Network, do shows for them, and just just try to help everybody. And eventually, I'll just have a breakdown, and you'll find me in the corner just crying.
Yeah,
But
I'm not gonna lie. I do my store, my convention, 3 shows a week, the podcast, the Saturday morning serials, and the Sci Fridays. My family, and try to do that. And the other day, I was just sitting there, and went, "Oh, I need to just not do one thing."
yeah, yeah. Sometimes I have to reel myself back in, but you know, I feel obligated to a lot of people, so I try to make everybody happy.
Yeah,
Um, me and my wife, we don't have children, so that helps in a way. I mean, my wife's very understanding about letting me do stuff like this, and you know, we have cats, and they love her and they hate me. So
my cats love me, but they also are cats, so they're all hiding. Both of them are hiding, and then with my
yeah,
dogs. So my dog is chill. My dog is like laying around here somewhere. She's a fat corgi that is mellow as hell. I got a new corgi relatively recently, and he is wired. And my wife's dog's wired, and that's why they had to go upstairs. Because used to be I do the podcast, they chill out at my feet, and then suddenly within like the last few podcasts, nope, they
Can't
want
do
to.
that anymore.
So, I don't want to keep you too much longer, sir, but I do got to ask you, how many vendors do you have at this show?
We're in the neighborhood of like 60.
60.
So yeah, we're in the neighborhood of about 60. And they're split between two. But the way I design the our halls are so it's a U shape.
Mm-hmm.
So we have these huge bay doors that you walk through, and so it's just a giant U, and most of the celebrities are at the bottom of the U. So no matter if you don't want to go to the vendors, we make you. So I mean, because that's what the vendors help us put on the show, and we want you to at least give them some love and at least look around, see if there's anything you
Definitely.
want on your way to the celebrities. But we make the celebrities accessible. We're gonna have last year our line control for Joe Bob was insane. His line was much bigger than we expected. So we're a little bit more prepared for like CJ Graham and Tom Matthews and Felissa and Frank and Kevin and Patty. But yeah, 60 vendors right now. Nice. And it's all spanning from VHS, DVD. We've got some podcasts. We've got we've got a few jewelry stuff, but we don't really go heavy on the jewelry as much as some other shows, but it's all spooky themed. We have we just have a large pool of vendors. Last year what we didn't have any like toy vendors that had like NECA stuff and all that stuff, but this year we have like 3 big toy vendors, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Nice. I always ask that because I went to a horror convention a few years ago, and I walked in and literally no movie vendors, not one person selling DVDs, Blu-ray, nothing. I'm like, what? I had 20 guys, people selling jewelry. Nobody's selling, physical media, and like one t-shirt guy. And I'm like,
yeah.
What? I was like, I get the fact, I get the people, people that want to buy spaces. I get that,
Yeah.
And that fact that there was like, I was like, there's nobody here selling movies. Damn. I was like, I should have sat at the table and sold movies.
I take it pretty serious, and we try to get a variety of vendors. I mean, we have Orbit, Grindhouse, and Dungeon, and that's not all the VHS stuff we've got coming, or not just VHS, but physical media movies. Yeah. So, I mean, the movies are what we love about horror. So, we want to always have a large selection for people to choose from. Yeah.
And you've got, we said 21 guests, correct?
Yeah, about 21. I think, if I counted, different day, I don't know. It depends on, we had one drop out a few weeks ago. One of our independent film directors, Jill, she had to drop out, unfortunately, but we had her there last year. She directed a movie called The Stylist, which I recommend if you haven't seen it.
Yep, love that movie. I can never look at the women because I'm in a strip mall. Literally, it's me, an insurance place, and then a salon. And I look at them ladies. I'm like,
one of y'all.
I told the one, I was like, go watch the movie The Stylist. This is why I'm kind of weirded out by you guys.
Yeah, like, so so I think I've mentioned a lot of the guests that we've had, but James O'Barr, he's the creator of The Crow. Yep. We actually have him. I'm very excited about that. So we have a complete guest list at the on our website, and that's FrankenConTN.com. FrankenCon TN is everywhere, like for socials, and you can just type that in and find us. But yeah, we have a large independent film director pool. I mean, like we've got Jed Bryan, who did Unlisted Owner. We've got Donald Farmer, who's kind of a legend. I mean,
Yeah, I just did an
he's been
interview with him
around.
recently,
He's done so much. We're just so lucky to have him, and we're going to be showing one of his movies as a late night. His new movie, Debbie Does Demons, which probably, let's just say, that's the greatest horror title of all time. They're going to be showing that at 10 o'clock on the Saturday night. Nice. So there's just a lot going. We have Brian Bremer from Pumpkinhead. He played Bunt. He was also in Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 5 as Pino. Mm-hmm. And he was also in Society, which is another good body horror movie. And, we've got Nigel Bach, which he does the Bad Ben movies, which there's 11 of them. His story is really awesome. The movies are found footage and they're really fun. He's actually premiering his 12th Bad Ben movie, Alien Agenda, at the show on Saturday, I believe, in the afternoon, and that's a general admission event.
Now, are there any open spaces available for vendors? Are you sold out of vendors' tables?
Yeah, we're sold out now, and we have been for a while. I mean, the tables go pretty quick because a lot of those, tables we have, some people have 2 tables, and so the space fills up quick. But we are going to have more vendors in our lobby area, and then down our hallway. So I'm really just trying to pack as much as I can into this one, vendor-wise.
Is it? Can people still get in on the short film festival, or is that already capped?
That is technically probably actually our cap is May 1st. So if this is going to go up tomorrow,
like 4 days.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't have to be made for the festival, I mean, there are some rules, but if you go to FrankenConTN.com, you can check it out there, and see what all of our rules are for the film festival.
Okay, cool. I will put up, where to go at the end of the episode, and
awesome.
Yeah. So there'll be. Do you want me to put your Facebook up, or yes, no, maybe?
Yeah, that's fine. You can put anybody can follow me at Nerdy Laser. I'm on Facebook as Richard Ewell or Ewell. You can follow FrankenCon at FrankenCon TN. Like I said, our Facebook feed is pretty good. We also have a Franken Family Facebook page that is more of a that's more for like horror discussion and stuff, and people sell tickets in there and such. We still have VIP left. General admission tickets, you can buy them now. General admission will be available at the door. If we have any VIP, they'll be at the door. But the VIP is limited, and you get in both days. You get our nighttime entertainment. So VIP is definitely the way to go. You can also book your room on our website. So if you want to stay, have an adult weekend, there's plenty of alcohol beverages to purchase around the venue. We'll have food trucks around, and you can go to the hotel page of FrankenConTN.com and just click book now. That'll take you straight to the room rate that we have, which is $125, which Hilton is usually over 200. Yep. So it's a good deal.
Heck yeah. So, all right. Well, I appreciate it, sir. I really do love talking to you.
It's been great, Paul. Anytime. Yeah.
And hell, we might just have you on just to talk movies and stuff.
Absolutely. Anytime, man. I'm usually available.
Cool. Well, I will let you go, sir. And like I said, thank you very much. And I will post all this stuff, and I will have it up tomorrow. And if everything goes all right and it doesn't have any problems, it'll be up at noon tomorrow. And you're in my time zone, so it's noon EST. So,
all right. Well, awesome, buddy. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for helping us get the word out.
No problem. No problem. You have a good night. And